Welcome back to the making of one of my dream dresses. This is part 2, and unfortunately will not be the last part of this series. I had hoped that there would only be 2 parts, but seeing as this is the most detailed part of the dress, it did take a little bit longer to film than I thought it would. So in this video, we're going to talk about the details of the main dress, and I will be stressing out quite a lot because I had a deadline that I was creeping up towards, and Con Crunch does not do well for my image. But before we get to that, I just wanted to show you, I really like the shift dress. I can use it as just everyday wear, and it looks super cute. And this is why I make my dresses as parts instead of all in one, because that way I can use the pieces separately and sometimes even wear it as daily wear. Okay, it is January 1st, 2026. I apologize for the sound in the background. That's my dishwasher, and unfortunately, I forgot it was on when I started filming. 2 years after I first started this project, and I am determined to finish it this year, hopefully in the next couple of months, because I want to wear it to MegaCon this year, and MegaCon in 2026 is the middle of March, I believe. Hold on, let me check something. I have until February 20th to finish this project in order to enter it into the cosplay contest, which is the hope and plan for this project. So, I already at this point have the underdress done, which means the sleeves done. The middle dress is almost done. I just need to add the skirt to the bodice. The only thing left is the overdress and the wings. The overdress is gonna be the hardest part because of all of the detail work that I need to do to get it perfect. So I bought a Tambour Embroidery hook, only to find out that I can't use it because it's actually regular embroidery, not Tambour Embroidery, on this project. And then I also bought some lace. This will be for the collar portion. I bought an antique gold because this whole project is kind of, it's an off-white, but it's like a gold off-white. So I bought an antique gold, and unfortunately, it's too yellow. I put it up against, like right now it doesn't look too yellow, it seems like very cream, but I put it up against the rest of my fabrics and it is far too yellow. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to try to coffee stain this fabric, and if it looks good after coffee staining, then I'll continue to use this fabric. If not, I will buy some off-white lace and use that instead. But I really don't want to buy more lace, so first I'm going to start by using this.
Apparently, the secret to a good coffee stain is just a splash of vinegar.
It just now occurred to me that the fabric is probably synthetic because I got it from Amazon. So I don't think the coffee staining is going to take, because I don't think there's anything real in that fabric at all. But I'm going to do it anyway because I already told myself that I was going to try coffee staining before giving up and getting a different fabric. Okay, I'm going to let that dry, but I'm almost certain that it did not work. So I will be probably going to Goodwill either later today or tomorrow to look for some old wedding dresses that maybe I can repurpose the lace off of. Alright, I am still struggling to find good lace to use for the center front portion. I did find for the bodice. I originally bought this Dupioni silk, which hard to see in the plastic, but I don't want to take it out until I'm ready to use it. So it's just a light gold Dupioni silk. So I did buy this fabric for the bodice. This is where the pearls is going to go, so it's the outer portion. And I was also looking at the back, and it seems like the back also has 2 different kinds of fabric in it. So it has the Dupioni silk on the outside, and then on the inner side it seems to have something else, like this fabric here, which I just so happen to have from Joann's. It is JOK Camel Silk Essence. So it's a very similar color to this fabric. It's a little bit lighter, a little bit thinner, and doesn't have the same texture. So I'm going to use this color for the back, the middle back, and I'm also going to use it for the center front. And then I'm going to put the lace on top of that so that I still get the two-toned lace kind of color. However, I still have not gotten a good lace fabric. I have tried, I had a pink that I tried coffee staining. I had a gold that was too gold, so I tried coffee staining it, but it didn't take the coffee stain at all. I don't remember where either of those fabrics are right now. And I'm thinking about possibly going to Goodwill to see if I can't find some lace at Goodwill that maybe will work. I really want like an off-white. I don't want a bright white. But the kind of lace that would work is probably like wedding dress lace. And I really want an off-white, not like a true white. And most of the wedding dresses that I find at Goodwill, if not all of them, I don't think I've ever seen a wedding dress that was not a pure white wedding dress at my Goodwill. So that's concerning. So I have one other option that I just found that I'm going to try to coffee stain one more time, and that is this white lace here. It kind of reminds me of like a tablecloth lace, but I think it's kind of pretty. So, and it's not got too much going on that it would be distracting, but it also doesn't have too little going on that the fabric underneath will show through too badly. So I'm hoping that I can coffee stain this fabric. If not, I will just dye it because I do still have some of the kind of sand polyester dye. I literally just opened this fabric and I cannot find the case for it, so I don't know if this is polyester or cotton. Considering I got it from Walmart, it's probably polyester, but I am going to try the coffee staining first. However, my camera is dying, so I will be doing that off camera. I forgot to charge my camera, so I'm going to be quick about this, but this is my coffee stained fabric, and I think it is a much better representation of what it should look like, so I am happy with that.
First things first, I need to sketch out a repeating pattern for a medallion that I can use and it won't be destroyed. Then I can trace that pattern onto my fabric, and that will be what I follow for my Tambour embroidery. Now, I will say, this marker is a dark purple, but it is an air-dissolving kind of marker, so that color will disappear. Originally, I was using chalk, and the chalk did not disappear. So if you're gonna do this, I highly recommend air-dissolving markers.
Also, here is the fabric that I am currently trying to make. If you can even see it, I don't know if you can. This is the fabric I'm trying to make with the medallions, and I've gotten this many rows done fully down. I'm starting on this row here to go fully down, and that is not even half of the, oh, there you go, you can see it a little better now. You can see there's a little in the front that I have to do because I was giving myself a little bit extra space to figure that out, and then there's also not even half of it done yet. I don't know if I'm going to be able to do this. I've already bought the thread though, and I don't want to waste the work that I've been doing. This is one of those sunken cost fallacies. Like, is it better to keep going, or is it better for me to stop and just move on to doing something that will actually be useful?
And at the end of each straight line, I like to add these little beads that look kind of like pearls, maybe?
I have a visitor outside, so I'm sorry if you hear my cat in the background. He is not happy about said visitor. I am so tired. I have done this much, twice over I should say, for my fabric. So get you a closer look at it. For the fabric that is the Ever After fabric. However, I probably have enough for the front and side if I don't do any gathering on it. I can probably get away with the amount of fabric I have for the front and side. So it's going to be pretty much, each panel is going to be this big, really. So like this would be the front panel, which actually doesn't look that bad. But at this point, I am so tired. It's the 7th, I believe, and I have until the 20th to get it ready to submit. I don't know that I'm going to finish it by the 20th, but as long as I have it mostly done, I think I will be okay. There's also a couple of problems. So while I'm working on it, as you saw in the video, I only have this small square where I can only work on 3 medallions at a time. And unfortunately, because of the way it is, I have several places, like right there, where the bead has just come off because it gets yanked off whenever I try to move the fabric around on the hoop. It's a cheap hoop. It's to be expected. It is a little annoying, but I will attribute that to just the fact that it is an old dress. It is a hand-me-down, so like it's understandable that there's been some damage. Maybe some beads are missing or anything like that. And that's what I'm going to say if they ask me about it, because it's not happening. Now, the thing I have to do now is I still have to do the back of the dress for this fabric. I still have to make enough of this fabric to do the back of the dress. However, I was thinking about it, and this is not going to be long enough. I did not go all the way to the top, and I did not go all the way to the bottom, and that's probably going to be an issue while I am trying to get it to be long enough. I think it's going to be a little short down at the hem for this project, but it is what it is. It's gonna have to be. But there is a train in the back, so I don't want the back to be short. That would not be good. So I was thinking about it. This is actually the 95-inch curtain. So it's 95 inches by 60 inches wide. Now I cut the 95 inches in half, so this is actually 60 inches by 40 some odd inches in length. And the 40 some odd inches is not going to be long enough. Earlier I talked about maybe dropping the back waistline to give it a little bit extra length, which I think I still might do. But I was also thinking about it, this fabric is not directional. So I'll just turn it on the next piece of when I'm doing the other side. I don't know where the other piece is. I've lost it. It's hidden somewhere. But anyway, so I will just turn it so that way it will be 60 inches long by 45 inches wide, which also will help me out because it'll mean that I don't have to do as much width, but I do have to do more length. So that is a concern. But for now, I have to go to bed because, of course, right when I need to be focusing on my cosplays, my work has been doing like so much overtime, and so I have to go to work early tomorrow again.
The front of the bodice uses the exact same pattern as the middle gown, but unfortunately I can't find that pattern anymore, so I'm having to redraft it here. Which is unfortunate because I entirely forgot about all of the changes that I made in the previous draft. Luckily though, it all turned out well in the end. The back, on the other hand, is made by tracing a pre-made bodice block pattern that I had and altering it to better match the pictures of the back of the dress. and the length of the front of the bodice.
I don't have a lot of time to talk, and I know that my lighting is horrible, but I just came to a realization that I messed up on my pattern, and I just wanted to say so before I go to work, so I don't forget. When I was measuring the pattern, also this is an awkward angle, but camera's in the weird place, so just deal with it. When I did the pattern drafting, I measured shoulder to under bust based on my dress on the hanger. And I was like, I think this is right, but I'm not quite sure. And then when I held up my pattern piece to the bodice, I found that my neck was too low, and only afterwards found that my sleeve was too high. So I think what might have happened is that I mismeasured from my shoulder to my underbust. So before recognizing that the shoulder was too short, I added to the top of the neckline and was like, that'll cover up the underdress. But then I noticed that the shoulder was too short, and I just realized that what I should have done, instead of adding to the neckline, is added down to the bottom, because I'm unlikely to have measured that correctly, but I believe, if I'm remembering correctly, that I didn't change the neckline except to make it a little more curved on that pattern, so it should be in the same place. So that means that if that one's neckline is in the correct place, then this one's neckline is not. Then this one is the waistline is in the wrong place. Which is unfortunate, because I used this measurement to do the back bodice as well, and also forgot that I wanted to add a little bit to the back to make sure that the back was a little bit longer. So I'm going to have to redraft everything, which sucks. But this part of the back, right here, is right when the dart starts on my regular back bodice, because I did use the back bodice pattern to do this, because it's slightly different than the a regular Italian Renaissance dress. So the dart starts there, and if I had made it a little lower, then I would have closed the dart like I did with the neckline, or with the shoulder, and so I have to redo it. Everything. Okay, so it's really hard to tell because I decided to use the back closure since that's how it will look. Oh my gosh, I need to figure out something else to do with these bones. They are stabbing me in the hips. It's really irritating. But anyway, so it's really hard to tell because the front looks good, but it's hard to see in the back because I have the back closure. I think it looks pretty good. I think I'm happy with it. The back might be a little bit small, but that's also because I don't have this bodice fully closed, because I can't get the white bodice fully closed on my own, honestly. I've tried, and I just can't do it. But I think I've covered the front pretty well. The only thing I will say is that the straps are poking out, and I think the best way to fix that is to widen the straps. You can see here the white strap is poking out, like up here. I think the best way to do that is to widen the straps, and that will also extend the back of the dress. I'm not too concerned if the back of the corset is taller than the back of the overdress, because the corset is going to be what I hook the wings into. So I'm not too concerned if that one is taller. I would prefer it not to be because it's not supposed to be visible. I think the armhole might be a bit big. But again, I'm not too concerned about that, so what I'm talking about is the side armhole. I'm not too concerned about the white showing through down at the bottom, because the gold undersleeve, which I'm not wearing at the moment, but the gold undersleeve will hide that portion because it's very loose, so it will be hidden. The main thing that I'm concerned about is the top. I am happy with this mock-up, even though it's the only mock-up I have, and I should also show the back This is not normal for an Italian Renaissance gown as far as I can tell, which I haven't done too much research, so don't quote me on this. But this seam in the back, this kind of rounded seam in the back, is, to me, I've only really seen it on Victorian dresses, but I prefer Victorian dresses, so that's like where most of my experience is. But when I was looking at the pictures of the back of the gown, there was this curved portion. It was done by a trim, but it looked like the trim was hiding the seam or something like that, or was faking a seam there. So I just went ahead and put a seam there just to make it fit a little bit better. So yeah, I think I'm gonna risk going into the actual fabric and hoping that everything is okay, because I will be sad if it's not okay.
For the bodice, I decided it'd be best to do French seams, so wrong sides together first, flip it around, and then right sides together.
Alright, so I decided to give the skirt fabric a bit of a break. So instead I'm working on the bodice. Specifically, I'm working on the embroidery on the bodice, as you can see. Real fast, I just want to say that I do not like, or at least it is super hard, to embroider loosely. Like, I have always been a person who, I can do embroidery pretty quickly, but I also do it with pretty tightly. Like, cross stitching I can do outside of a hoop because my tension is pretty good, but with embroidery I have to have a hoop or I will make it like super tight. I actually did an embroidery for somebody and had to get my mom to, she crochets and knits, so she knows how to expand it. So I had to get her to do that, and it was still a bit too tight, but it was what it was. And this project, the Carrie Taylor pictures, now this is the auction that happened like a year or two ago. The Carrie Taylor pictures have the embroidery of this piece is actually pretty loose, and so I'm having to go so slowly so that I don't accidentally make it too tight. Like, I'm trying to make it like loose and it's hard. I do not like it loose. Now, I don't know if it was originally loose in the movie, but the Carrie Taylor auction was like 10 or so years after the movie, and since this dress is supposed to be her mother's dress, it is an old dress. So like things like those beads coming off is just, it happens, and it's fine. So I'm okay with having some pieces coming off, some pieces being loose. It's not exactly the easiest thing. It's so hard to fake antiquing. So I'm only doing one leaf at the moment because I don't know how exactly I want to do it, and I'm also missing the jewels for it. Like, I have the jewel for the centerpiece, which you can see here. I did not film that because I did it at work. Well, I was at work, but I hadn't clocked in yet because I got to work too early. So I went ahead and did that piece real fast, which means it's not filmed, but it was pretty easy to do, so it's not. So I'll apologize, but I did not get a film of it. But it's goldwork embroidery, so there will be goldwork embroidery later on in this video. I have never used this kind of thread, and it looks like it's going to be a pain in the butt to use. Okay, two things. One, I got these beads for the bodice because I thought the dark gray beads would be the perfect color. However, dark gray beads look lighter in this container because they're with all of the clear beads. So they are way too dark for this project. They're the correct size, but they are too dark. And I meant to take a picture before removing them, but like after I decided they were too dark, it was just like, go away. And then the other thing is I actually do have the correct shape gem, which I don't think I mentioned. I didn't think I had the correct shape gem. Please don't step on my needles. I've got my needles on my lap. So I do have the correct shape gem, and it's size 15, I believe, millimeters. It's, I think, slightly too big. I was gonna order on Amazon a set of these. I think it's like 200 pieces, and it's like 15 millimeters, 12 millimeters, 10 millimeters, and 8 millimeters. So I will go ahead and order those, but I did check this one because originally I was planning on doing 15 millimeters. I thought 15 millimeters was perfect. It is not. I think it is way too big for this spot. So I think the 12 millimeter will look a whole heck of a lot better. That does mean that I am going to order, I just need to order that fabric. I forgot to do it earlier. So I'm gonna go back to Joann's and get a different color beads, but I need to figure out what color I want to get because I was sure that I wanted like a dark color, but now against the fabric and with the gem here, I do not think a dark color will work. So I've just wasted my money on this, but you know what? It doesn't matter because I'm sure I'll use it for something. Just add it to my stash. But I will go to Starbucks. Well, I meant Michael's. In case you didn't know, there's a Starbucks right by the Michael's, so like every time I go to Michael's, I go to Starbucks. So I will go to Michael's a little bit later because I don't need the beads right now, especially since the jewel isn't even going to come until Sunday, supposedly, hopefully. But I can go ahead and finish doing the rest of the embroidery work. Oh, and this is what it looks like so far. I think I'm going to have to undo everything that I just did. I don't think that that's the right color, because if we're looking at the actual picture as compared to that, I think what I got was like a gold that's like a mottled gold, and it's too brown, honestly. And I think that if I look here at the side, there's some silver paisleys. I know it's real hard. There we go. Those are silver paisleys, and they're almost the same color as the thread that's right next to it. So I really need like a silver color, which actually also makes sense as to why I felt that the beads, which is here, were the incorrect color, because I made them black compared to the thread that I got, but the thread that I got is wrong. And also, I think that the thread that I'm using as the leaf portion is wrong too. I have no idea what happened to the rest of that film, and I will warn you, from this point on, I have entered the deadline dash, so the videos are going to be a little bit,
discombobulated.
I am looking at the skirt of the overdress, and I do have a problem. So the way that the overdress is done, originally I had thought that it was a one kind of fabric as a lower skirt and then panels of the embroidered fabric on top of the lower skirt. So that's the kind of fabric I got. However, I have since realized that the embroidered fabric is actually the same fabric as the other fabric on the skirt, and it's just panels of the skirt. I did not get the right kind of fabric for that on either case. I also realized later that the skirt is sheer, and I did not get the right kind of fabric for a sheer skirt. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to do my original plan, which is to make the full skirt one fabric and then just put panels on top of that fabric so that I still get the texture all the way through and I don't get a weird non-sheer, sheer, non-sheer, sheer panel. The only thing I do have to decide is if I still want to attach the fabric to, like, if I want to do what I'm doing with the bodice, is I am layering the fabric and then seaming it so that the layers aren't recognizable outside. I did see in the overdress, I thought originally that I could see a seam, or I could see the edges of the sheer fabric hemmed or seamed or whatever. I thought it had like a silver zigzag stitch on it to keep it from fraying. It still might, but now that I know that it's a sheer fabric, it could be that it is there, but it's underneath, so it might be in the seam. So now what I have to decide is if I want the dress to be layered together or separately. I think together might be better, just to get the, because if I have it separately, you will get the whole separate skirt movement, which I don't believe was the case on the Ever After dress. So yeah, I think it will be better just to hem it together. The only problem with that is that the panels are much smaller than the original dress because I just don't have enough time to embroider enough fabric. So I got different threads for the center embroidery. It's not super noticeable from far away right now because it's not done. I still need to put the gems on it because I'm waiting for them to come in the mail. And the beads I got are what I was hoping for. And I'm hoping that it'll be a lot more noticeable once everything is on it with the gold work, embroidery, and all that stuff. However, I am a little concerned. The fabrics, I'm not really sure if they go together. So this fabric here is the middle skirt, so the underskirt. It matches with the bodice pretty well. This fabric is the, this fabric is the fabric that I plan to use for the sleeves, which is here. And also what I am going to make the skirt out of, so the overskirt out of. This fabric is what's going to be the overskirt. So it's going to be the little panels of silver. It's all kind of a silvery gold kind of color, but the overskirt and this skirt leans more towards the silver, whereas the bodice leans more towards the gold. And I'm a little concerned that the bodice and the skirt portion are not actually going to go together. Like, they're going to be the wrong colors. Like, together, these look like they look just fine together. Like, you could pair these pieces together and it'd be fine. But these are three separate pieces at the moment. Once you sew the skirt onto the bodice, it becomes one piece. And it's like, does it actually go together if it's one full piece? Or does it look weird? I do have another option, which I am considering. I would have to go to Walmart, and I will be so irritated if I do it, because I don't remember if I still have the video of me explaining the absolute horror that it was to buy more of this fabric because I did not have enough of this fabric. But the other option is there is a fabric that is a sheer fabric, like the ones that I have for this a curtain panel. It's more brown, and then it is a little bit wrinkly. So like with this fabric, it would fit a little bit better with this fabric. So instead of this fabric going on top of the fabric like I had originally planned, having the full skirt out of this and then just putting that sheer fabric on top, instead of that, what it would be this fabric paneled with the other sheer curtain fabric, which is actually more correct for the dress. Like, that's how it was originally. But if I do that, this whole dress, this piece, which is the sleeves really is all that this piece is, this whole thing is useless because the skirt, the overskirt, is the same kind of fabric as the sleeves. And if I change the overskirt, then the sleeves will also be changed. I do have some of that other fabric, but it's kind of a pain in the butt to move around because it's attached to some branches that, like, it was for the sake of a background, so I don't really want to try to move that around. My concern with that fabric is I think it might be too brown, whereas these are gold. Like, this is very metallic gold. It's beautiful. I really, really like this fabric. I'm just so concerned that it's not fitting with the bodice. So I'm just gonna keep going on with the bodice and make my decision later. I'm trying my hand at the goldwork embroidery at the moment. Currently, I'm not super happy with it, but I'm gonna put it to the side for a little bit while I work on the skirt some more. But before I do that, I wanted to open up the veil that I got, that specifically for the purpose of making the sleeves of this gown. It's in an ivory color. Ugh. He's like making biscuits at me. It's in an ivory color, which I know is a white color, but it was either ivory or white. So I'm hoping that it'll be a similar color to the skirt here, and that way it would go well. But I need to open up the veil and see how it looks. And since it just arrived, I thought I would do a box opening of it real fast. I don't really know the difference between ivory and white. I think that ivory might be like a warmer white color, which my sister, who is much better at color theory, described to me what I was having an issue with on the dress is that the bodice is warm, whereas the skirt right now is very cool toned. So I think I'm considering maybe coffee staining this portion just to give it a little bit of more of a warm tone to this, but I don't want it to get as dark as the lace got. So I'm thinking maybe just like dipping it in, but that's a later problem. So this is the veil. Let me zoom out so you can actually see it. Alright, this is the veil. It's supposed to be like a two-tiered veil. I don't really care as long as I have enough netting that I can get the sleeves out of, which it definitely looks like I will. And then this portion is going to be the sleeve down here. I would have preferred a silver to that, but that's not happening. This also might be coffee stained because now that I'm looking at it, it is too white for this project. Like, just with the skirt it would work, but with the bodice, I think probably also need to coffee stain that. At this point, it would almost be better to redo the bodice in a cooler tone because everything else is cool toned. But I don't have anything good to make the bodice out of, so right now I'm just going to make it all work. Anyway, now I have to decide if I want to coffee stain this before or after making the sleeves out of it. So this is how it would look on the sleeve. It's not as bad when it's against the fabric because it's so see-through. The only thing is that the lace is very white. But I don't know that that will take coffee staining well. But I have plenty of this fabric, so I can cut a little bit out of it and just see if it'll take the coffee staining before actually doing a real coffee staining. But that's a later project. I want to go get some cheesecloths or something to put the coffee in so that it doesn't just be out and about in the pot, because cleaning off the fabric after I take it out of the coffee staining is not fun, and I don't want to do that with embroidery and lace. So that's a later problem that I will deal with later. I'm just taking a break. I have a little less than a week to finish, and the dress is not fully pieced together. The bodice doesn't have like any of the embroidery on it. I mean, it has a little bit, but I have realized that like the beads that I put on just as a test will probably have to come off in order to sew the skirt on, and the goldwork embroidery that I already did is probably too big, so I'll probably have to take that off to redo it. So the bodice is stuck where it is at the moment. I do think I'm probably just going to do a rolled hem for the sleeve just to make my life easier. And then I did get the veil for the top, but I still have to grab that. The veil is a little less, I was hoping for a little bit more open than this, but it'll have to do, like, it is what it is. The overskirt I'm currently working on. This is my last full day off work before the project is due. So I really have to get as much done today as possible, and I'm still working on embroidering the overskirt. So I'm gonna go pretty much until I run out of thread. It's taking me 4 to 5 spools every row I do, and every row is like 4 medallions wide. So I am finishing up the second row right now, and we'll definitely have enough for at least one more row. I'm not sure. I really would like to have 2 more rows, but if it's just one, it is what it is. And I should probably leave a spool or two, probably at least one spool. I should probably have at least one spool available for any fixes that I have to do after it goes into the coffee staining process, because I don't know what that's gonna do to like the pearls and stuff. I will have plenty of pearls. I think I have one too many containers of pearls because I don't know that I'm even gonna finish the third one. But I really, really, really want to finish this skirt fabric tonight so that maybe I can coffee stain it tomorrow before work and let it sit overnight. Not overnight, while I'm at work, so it'll dry by the time I get home. Then maybe I can work on attaching the skirt to the bodice and seeing how that's gonna work. I will have to cut out the fabric for the skirt, the underskirt of the overdress, and so I still have to cut that fabric out. I will still have to cut the overskirt, the fabric that I'm embroidering, which I have realized that there is a slight problem with my skirt, and that is that the way that I did the embroidery, what I've seen people do is they figure out the pattern first and then they embroider in the pattern. What I decided to do was embroider the fabric, and then with however much fabric I have, that's when I create the pattern. However, what I'm going to have to do specifically on the front portion of the fabric is cut it in half. And that means that I'm literally going to have to cut through the embroidery, probably where the beads are. Don't really care about cutting off the beads, that's fine. But I'm concerned because of the way Tambour embroidery is done, that when I cut through the fabric, the embroidery will immediately start unwinding, which is not okay. That will not do at all. So what I'm probably going to do is use a soldering iron to cut the fabric. Hopefully this is synthetic fabric. I assume it is because it's a cheap Walmart curtain. But if I just use a soldering iron to cut through the fabric, hopefully that will melt the thread to the point that it won't unspool as I cut through it. And I will be immediately giving it a zigzag stitch to finish the edges so the fabric won't unspiral either. But I am freaking out a little bit at this point because I am seriously running out of time. Honestly, the only reason I'm taking a break at the moment is because there's really only one way for me to sit while working on the tambour embroidery because of my setup sucks. So my legs hurt. I've been sitting the same crisscross way all day long, only getting up to like go to the bathroom and go get food and all that stuff. So my legs are like really starting to cramp up from being in the same position, and they keep cracking every time I stand up. I needed a break from which of course means that it would be the perfect time to work on my bodice, but in order to work on my bodice I'd have to stand up and go get it because it's over there and I don't want to. I have very quickly cycled through hating and loving this project very, very quickly. Oh shoot, I just realized I have a bit of a problem. So I was gonna get a cheesecloth bag, but I forgot, and I really don't want to go out again today. Let's see, what time is it? 5:45. You really don't want to go out again today. Maybe I could use this fabric, just whatever's left over of this fabric, the fabric I'm using for the skirt, and wrap the coffee in it. It might be small enough to keep the coffee grounds in place, the grain, but still allow the water to come through. Well, that's a problem for later. Right now, I need to even see if I can finish the fabric in time. Alright, I have finally finished what I can of the skirt fabric. So I only got about maybe a little less than a yard of the back fabric. It's probably about half of what I would really like to do, but honestly I do not have enough thread for another row, and really I don't have enough time either. So I have the fabric. I am now going to go brew some coffee so that I can stain the fabric so it's not so cool, because honestly I think that it looks really good with these fabrics here, but if I remove this and like these all look like cool colors, right? But if I remove this and add my bodice on, now we're looking at a little bit of warmer colors. So still maybe a little bit cooler on the skirt, but it's a much better match than if I add the white. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and brew some coffee. I'm gonna put that fabric in the coffee pot. I'm also gonna put the veil in the coffee pot. Just so y'all know, it's 9:30 at night on the 18th, and this is due on the 20th. However, I did look up the instructions again, and I only really have to have 70% of the project done in order to apply. But I really want to have it visually very nice, because if I don't have a lot of the visual stuff done, then they just won't pick it. Even if it is 70% done, they just won't pick it because it doesn't look nice. So I'm going to keep going. Alright, it's been half an hour, and although it looks darker in the pot, I think it's just because it's showing the liquid through it. I don't think it took. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move this to the sink and rinse off all the coffee grounds, and then I'm going to put the tulle veil in the pot and try that, and then once that's been attempted, I will add in some polyester dye. That's the sand color from earlier. Add in a little bit of that just to give it a bit of a brown color, because I just don't want it to be pure white. I don't think it'll look good as pure white. Alright, so when I took the fabric out of the coffee pot and put it in something else so it wasn't all conglomerated together, it actually did look like it took. So it's hard to tell in this room because this room has a slightly yellow tint in it, but the fabric is definitely not the like bright white that it used to be. It's a like off-white faded kind of a little bit brown, which is what I was looking for. The one problem I do have is that the fabric seems to have shrunk because of I think it's because of the stitching shrunk. I will be trying to steam it later, but right now I'm not too concerned about that. I really need to actually get it sewn onto the dress, but it is covered in coffee grounds. So this is my tool, this is my veil, and this is my other fabric. So covered in coffee grounds. So I am going to try some good old-fashioned air to try to just blow it off, and hopefully it'll end up in the bathtub. But go figure, there's no plugs by the bathtub, so I'm gonna try to get this thing as close to the bathtub as I can. Blow the coffee grounds, but I expect that my bathroom is going to be covered in coffee after this. I'm honestly kind of surprised that worked, and I'm kind of annoyed at myself for not thinking of it sooner on my last project that I did the same thing with. There's still a couple of places where not all the coffee grounds came off, but they'll come off eventually. It's not the end of the world. Rather annoyingly, I did notice that one of the fabrics, you probably can't tell because it's such a slight difference that it probably won't be a big deal, but one of the fabrics is a little tiny bit darker than the other one. That's annoying, but it is what it is. I actually do think I need to go ahead and give it a good steam now before I try to attach it to the bodice, which is unfortunate because I have to figure out how to hang that so that I can steam it. I just figured out why one of the fabrics took better than the other one did. I totally forgot that this fabric had yellow chalk on it as well, and apparently the yellow chalk stained the fabric. I think this is one of those things that really requires patience. You really gotta sit there and slowly work your way into getting rid of all the wrinkles. I didn't want to do that right now. I don't have the time for that. So I went ahead and just made sure that I could get some good length from it. The other thing is, I do believe that the stitching shrank. There is gonna be a lot of puckering from the stitching shrinking. I did what I could to kind of try to get most of the wrinkles out. Other than that, we're just gonna say it's part of the fabric. It's the charm of the fabric. And then the lace, I went ahead and gave it a quick steam, but that one can actually be ironed, so I was not too concerned about that one. That one's just kind of put off to the side, but I did do what I could quickly from these two fabrics, and now I'm gonna go check them out and check them to see if they look okay with the rest of the dress. Alright, so looking at the fabric right here, it's still a very cool toned fabric. It is darker, it's not the stark white that it was before, so that's a good thing, but it isn't quite what I had hoped. But at this point, there's nothing I can do about it. I can't hold off any longer on working on this project. So we're gonna go ahead and press on, and this is going to be one of those trust the process moments. Hopefully, once I get all the decorative bits on the bodice, I think the main thing that's the warm color is actually the lace, but the lace is going to be pretty much fully covered by all of the rest of the stuff that's going on this dress. So I'm hoping that once the lace is covered, it'll be much more toned down and it'll fit a little bit better with the cooler tones of the skirt. The other issue, I was looking at the length of this skirt and it's still not quite as long as I would have liked. I really wanted to have a nice long train for that period. I mean, you don't want to have too long of a train for cosplay because you're going to get stepped on. I was hoping for a long train, and unfortunately this is my longer fabric, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, this is my longer fabric, and the bottom of it just barely passes the bottom of the overskirt, and the bottom of the overskirt is a little too high for me. So unfortunately, It is going to be a little bit shorter than I would really have liked, but I can get the train in the other portion of the skirt. It's just, it was also supposed to be in this portion, but also this portion was supposed to be bigger than it is anyway, so there's that to think about. The other thing is I was considering, I had originally talked about maybe putting panels in, like some people who make this dress do panels of the sheer fabric, but I don't think that'll work as I want it to, because if I use the curtain fabric that I had spoken about before, it's a very stark difference from the curtain fabric that I'm using right now, the colors, and you will very much be able to see that the color is not right. So I think what I am going to do is I'm going to do the full skirt out of this fabric, and then just do on top of that panels out of the other fabric. So what I was considering, because the problem with that is that you're going to have like these upper portions that are going to flow around, and they're not supposed to. So I was thinking if I just hem them to the overskirt, or to this skirt, if I just hem them to that skirt, then it's fine if they're a little bit loose on the total skirt, but when they're hemmed, they won't go flying all about in all the different ways. However, now I'm wondering if I even want to do that, because if I do that, then I will not be able to make the train as long as I want it to be. Right now, I think the best bet is just to piece the skirt, to attach the skirt, and try everything on and see how exactly it's all going to look, especially because I haven't even figured out how I want to do the skirt yet. So first of all, I need to find this fabric because it has been, I believe, 2 years since I actually started this project. I've been putting it off for so long. So I really need to go find wherever I put this fabric because my mom got me a whole bunch of this fabric. And I think that'll be a great place to stop, even though we haven't made it to the deadline and I've left you on quite the cliffhanger. I think this video is getting a little bit long. In the next video, I will finish the dress and I will make sleeves and also some wings to finish off my ever after dress. I hope that you enjoyed this video and that you will come back to see the finished project. Let me know if you have any questions, comments, or concerns down below. Give this video a thumbs up if you liked it, and please come back in a week or two to see the final project.